Levan Saginashvili, who we can be quite confident in claiming to be the top-level arm wrestler, definitely currently and potentially of all time, depending on your classification. But his problem, if you can see it as a problem, is that he is just so far ahead of everybody else now in terms of strength and size that it runs the risk of being damaging to his use as an athlete in the sport. His fellow Georgian Lashitalakadze shares a similar problem, being that the weights he lifts in competition are so far ahead of anybody else that anybody competing in that weight class is fighting for second place at best. In a sport like weightlifting, it's less of an organizational issue since everybody can still compete even if one is ahead of the others. But with arm wrestling, it takes two to tango, and if Levan wants to compete, he needs an opponent. But to my knowledge, there is nobody else now who really poses much threat to him. Hermes is potentially a contender, as we saw in their previous match, but currently he seems to have cut down body weight significantly. There are a few other rising stars, Alijan, Kordecha, Jablonski, etc., but it seems with Devon Larratt now choosing to move down to the lighter weight classes, these people are more likely to compete with each other, since aside for fun and spectacle, each of them probably have higher chances of victory versus an opponent of a similar level than trying their luck against Levan. And we have to bring up the issue if someone does decide to gain body weight to contend with Levan. It's a very big task and brings with it some not insignificant health risks. Most of the athletes on the rung below Levan are already at a very high level and holding very high amounts of body weight for the average person, and not many of them hold extreme levels of body fat. So if they did want to gain 15 to 20 kilograms of pure muscle weight, that would unfortunately imply large amounts of drug use since they are already very maxed out in mass, which, combined with the extra mass, is probably not too great for the athlete's health. Alternatively, they can just gain 15 to 20 kilograms of fat without the necessity of drugs, but that offers very minimal performance enhancement and invites all of the health risks of holding excess levels of body fat, combined with the excess body weight they already have. So for almost all of the athletes in a position to challenge Levan, they would need to face the health risks unless they just wanted to try at whatever size they are at now. So what can Levan do? Is there really any drive for him to improve at this point? If he gets better, who can he even use that improved ability against? If he wanted to face more challenge, he could possibly choose to finally cut his body weight back down, closer to where it used to be, although he obviously faces high chances of losing performance and runs the risk of being beaten, which in terms of pure competition within the sport is obviously more useful, but for Levan as an individual, the thought of deliberately making yourself weaker because everybody else is weaker seems a bit like self-sabotage. More likely then is that he'll continue to sit at the top and coast until someone manages to rise to a level that even remotely disturbs him. Perhaps Hermes will be able to make improvements and move against Levan more. Perhaps Kordecha, who seemed very promising against Svetkov and has a very good history against the top athletes previously, may be able to gain some traction. Or perhaps with Devon stepping back, the path will be left wide open, and some of the other athletes will make moves to test themselves against Levan. Jablonski's press may be an interesting challenge to see against Levan. Perhaps Gennady may build up from the mumblings we heard about previously, or we could see more of a prime Revas Lutidze versus Levan, or maybe Laletin will try his luck again. Either way, it seems like Levan is going to be sitting comfy for quite some time, unless Engin manages to think up some new formats that manage to challenge him. Perhaps King of the Table as a competition format becomes an official competition where Levan eventually gets worn down. Or perhaps we get tag team arm wrestling, equipped arm wrestling, or perhaps some random athlete appears from nowhere and just beats everybody and then disappears. It is definitely an interesting position for Levan to be in, but it seems like a lot of the future action in the sport in pay-per-view style formats is going to possibly move away from him and the other athletes receive more limelight. But that's it for the quick recap ramble today. I had to make the video to spite Minea, but there will be more useful videos on the way in the next few weeks, so I'll see you next time.